Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Hey, Imam, Haneef, how you doing, man?
Good, alhamdulillah. Can't complain. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Like, what's the specific question, really? Yeah, that's better for me that way because, you know what I mean? It's like, I could go so many different ways with it, so.
The question was your post directed towards interracial marriages?
Yeah, are you a racist?
I mean, no, not really. That wasn't really what I wanted to talk about. We can talk about that, like, yeah, that's no problem. But it was really a way of discrediting Candace Owens' opinion when it comes to her offering advice towards the Black family, Black people, the Black community, that sort of thing. Like, I'm just trying to show why people shouldn't be taking her opinion that seriously. Now, I guess what kind of happened was with my post, there's a particular, brother, one of our national scholars here who had took issue with it because he had posted one of her videos on his page, right? So he might have thought that I was like coming at him when I wasn't really coming at him. Like, I don't come at people in particular. I just see issues and I just say what I just want to say because it's my page. You know what I mean? I'm not like, okay, you just come at him, and I think that is what kind of got the thread jumping. You know what I mean?
What exactly did she say? So that made you comment?
Oh yeah. It was about the Ahmaud Arbery situation. Am I pronouncing his name right? Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
Was murdered in Atlanta, right, or Georgia?
In Georgia,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just basically did her typical sit back and analyze the reaction and the natural outrage of the Black American community, African American community. She see how usually the take that we have on it, most of us brothers have on it, which is the man was unjustly killed. Some of the people are really just emotional. Some people are looking at the facts of the case. Like myself, I feel like I'm looking at the facts of the case. I'm not a person that if a Black person is in the wrong, that I'm going to support them against white people just because they're Black and then the ones against them are white. I don't operate like that. I think that's just ridiculous, We looked at the facts of that case. We see this man was killed. Okay. The original story we heard is he was out jogging. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But this is what we heard. He was out jogging. A father and his son who happened to be white were pursuing him with guns. He stops, defends himself, ends up getting shot, killed, and natural outrage on the part of African Americans throughout the country. And what Candace does is she like, I gotta find out what's really going on. And it appears like she just likes to go against the grain. If the consensus of Black people, or most Black people are saying one thing, saying orange, she's going to say blue. That's just what her history has been. Most Black people are Democrats, she's going to be a Republican. Most Black people are liberal, she's going to be conservative. That's the way it looks. I mean, she might be sincere in her position, but that's just the way it looks. And in this situation, she comes out and says, this whole narrative, you know, in her words, quote unquote, this BS narrative that Ahmed was just jogging was BS, that he had actually committed a crime. She's trying to push the narrative that he committed a crime of trespassing, right? And that the owner, and we know what it was, right? It was like this construction site or whatever that was being built by an owner or whatever. We saw it on the video. He just walked in there. He's looking and doesn't touch anything, doesn't take anything. He leaves. We know from a video, right, the two killers, guys who killed him, they get on the phone and they call the police. They call the police, the local police, and they're saying, yeah, we notice a guy, he's trespassing on XYZ or whatever. I'm just paraphrasing. And they say on the phone, yeah, we see him, he's running. So then at that point, they pursue him, right? So Candace is like justifying them pursuing him. This whole law they have in Georgia about citizens arrest, where a regular citizen like you and I can just witness what we think is a crime and then decide we're going to go arrest someone. We're not cops, we're not police officers at all. We're just going to go arrest someone. So she was making it sound like she was just justifying all of that, and him being dead is almost a result of his death, which is ridiculous. And this brother is Sheikh Abdullah from Zaytown. I'm sure he doesn't mind. He's the one that shared her video, and then he also shared a video from some other two black guys who were just doing the same type of thing. I don't know. So that's probably where my post became controversial. Now, what I did to discredit her was made a case that she don't give a damn about black people anyway. So when someone doesn't, you really shouldn't care about their opinion. Yeah. Which is my stance anyway. I don't really care too much about people's opinions like that anyway, right? But this person in particular, I didn't understand why she's always the topic of discussion. I don't get why, like, every time she has something to say, she's getting all these views and likes and everything, and that's my thing. I'm saying we should just ignore her because she doesn't care about black people anyway. And the evidence was her, marrying a white guy. I mean, for me, I'm saying that doesn't always mean that, but I mean, to a lot of black people that it means that, especially black people who are about the idea of building the black family and fixing it and letting that cornerstone for our community. The people who care about that. If you just out there marrying white people, they just discredit that person anyway. That's in most people's mind, whether it's right or wrong. That's the way most people think.
So then you were discrediting her by saying, well, why be listening to her about black issues if she married to a white man?
Yeah. I didn't say anything, right? Well, I mean, what I did is I posted the picture.
You posted the picture.
And if people were to make their own conclusion, it was like one of them, you get my drift type of thing. This is why I shouldn't take this person serious, right? Yeah. So that sparked some anger, or
everybody started coming at you saying you was a racist.
Yeah. And, right. So I'm
interracial marriage.
Right. Call me racist, and how can a Muslim, have racist views? I didn't even list any views. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what happened with that. I mean, we can discuss the race thing. That's not a problem.
Well, what do you think about it? Like, as far as not just black Muslims, but black people in general, like in interracial dating or marriage dating, whatever.
Shouldn't be dating at all, Muslims, right? But listen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam. All right. This is something, right, that I learned from studying with a lot of my teachers, right? When it comes to how you extract wisdom. Like I remember studying one of my usul fiqh classes, right, before, and the topic that was brought up was, I'm going to get to what we're talking about, but just bear with me for a moment here. How my thinking goes here. Okay, we dealt with the issue of Dar al-Harb versus Dar al-Kufr, right? In the Muslim lands. For those who don't know, that is it's how you break down the abode that you live in, whether you live in a land of Kufr, which is a land that really is led by a Muslim leader who like applies the Sharia in that land, who enforces it, governs by that, right? Versus non-Muslim controlled land, right? Now, this idea was challenged by a number of teachers, people I consider teachers of mine. And it was challenged in this way. They said that the idea of Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Kufr is not something that's intrinsically Islamic, meaning like it isn't something that Allah Azza wa Jal just revealed or taught the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam specifically to be what Islam ultimately is in its real essence, right? But rather, it became a characterization that developed as a result of the Sahaba and subsequently those who followed them after them, noticing the reality that existed in the world on the ground. In other words, like they noticed, especially once they started to become a political body, right? Once Islam became like a political force in the world, they began to notice that the world consisted of lands that are ran by believers and lands that are ran by non-believers. And that the default status was one of hostility between the two parties, right? This is what some of these teachers of mine were articulating. Some they people listening, they can recognize, especially like the brother who argued with me, he would know this very well, okay? That they challenged this. And he quoted people like men like Qarafi, a great Maliki scholar from the, in the past and stuff like that, right? Okay. So now, this Dar al-Harb, Dar al-Kufr characterization becomes like really the dominant way in which scholars and Muslims view the world. Like so much so where most people believe it was something that was intrinsically part of Islam. I mean, that's how popular this opinion was. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying this is what they were saying. Okay, those teachers of mine. That it's not intrinsic, but it's something that they developed based on their observing the world. Follow me, right? Okay.
Right.
What I'm saying also is that as it relates to this subject of marrying either within your race or marrying outside of the race, okay, that I don't believe it's like necessarily like, especially in America, I'm speaking in the American context now. It's not necessarily like the Islamic ideal. I never said that on the post. I don't think anyone believes it's the Islamic ideal unless you're from the Nation of Islam or something, and or from the 5% Nation or something like that, where you believe Black people are like gods or something special, where you have to be loved, something like that, right? But typically, I don't believe anyone thinks that that's the ideal in Islam. That Black people only marry Black people, white people only marry white people. Pakistanis don't marry Pakistanis, Somalis don't marry Somalis, right? However, if we're going to be real about the way the Ummah is, that's exactly what happens. Like, we're going to be real.
Yeah.
We're going to be real. Like, I remember when I became Muslim, long time ago, I'm almost 20-some years now. I had a very pure belief. MashaAllah, maybe one day, I'll marry a good, righteous sister and, I can, she can be an Arab. alhamdulillah, she can be, you know, an African, alhamdulillah, she could be East African, she could be whatever, right? That we don't see color in Islam. Like I remember the Malcolm X movie was very popular when I became Muslim. And I remember being touched by, you know, the scene where Spike Lee has Malcolm in Mecca and in Medina, and he's seeing the white, blue-eyed Muslim. He's like, wow, this is amazing. So Islam is just, it doesn't see color and everything. It's just the unity of all the races. And I remember I believed that for a long time, and I want to believe that. I believe that's what Islam wants, right? But then, you know, you try to get married, right?
Yeah.
Make me, you like, to be for real. This, I ain't talking about me personally, right? But brothers I know, brothers, countless brothers we know. You African American or whatever, black from America. You try to marry a sister from Somalia, okay? The sister might actually be interested in you. She might be feeling you, whatever. But what's up with the father? How many times we hear, oh, the father ain't gonna marry his daughter to nobody that's not even just that you black, but just to somebody that's not Somali.
Yeah.
Look, man, that's just how they are.
Well, some of them,
Pakistani, same way. Bangladesh, same way. Egyptians, same way, right? So the opinion or the thinking I'm having is shaped in large part by what I'm seeing everybody do, right? And I'm thinking, right. And now there was a time I thought it was just racism on the part of them, like he just being racist. That's what I thought, right? Now it might be a little element of that, but then as I developed and as I studied a little bit and studied history and studied, I took the time, you know, to talk to some of these people and try to understand why they're that way. And I learned that a lot of it has to do with the way marriage is viewed or what purpose marriage serves.
Yeah.
Okay. And how marriage actually acts as a catalyst towards building a strong foundation to a community and how it serves as a means of, for real, keeping money in the family. So,
preserving the lineage and
right. It ain't got nothing to do with the stuff we
looking at.
Hollywood
we looking
stuff.
at love
and love and all of that.
And romanticism
and
Which shocked me too, because one of the things the Sheikh, you know, he said to me, right, about in defending, you know, because he ain't got to defend Candace. She allowed to marry the guy, not a problem. But in him defending what she did, she said, maybe that's just who she was attracted to or whatever. Now, I'm shocked he coming with that. Like, you got way more knowledge than me. You're seeing marriage as, like, really, okay, just who she's attracted to. Like, right? I don't know. I just thought, like, someone of that caliber would see marriage a little different. I don't know. Yeah. But I would like to talk about that a little bit, too. But I'm just trying to give y'all an idea where I'm coming from with the way I see it, right? I believe in unity of the Ummah. I do. All of the races and everything. I believe what Allah Ta'ala says, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. You know, that the best of you is he who is best in taqwa. And the sight of Allah, that's what it is, right? But I also recognize that the Ummah has no central leadership right now. Okay? Yeah. The Ummah is leaderless. There's no Khalif, no Caliph anywhere. We're just right now crawling down the lizard hole that the Prophet ﷺ described and following the Jews and the Christians. How? Jews and the Christians decided to go the way of statism. Have a state with the state flag, with the national anthem, and I'm in Egypt. State flag, national anthem. Right? I remember I was working in a school. Kids got to stand up, sing the Egyptian national anthem. Yeah. Okay, that's what it is with the reality, right? I can't I can't speak about things that don't exist. Like I can't just be in the books and act like that's what's going on. No, Sahabas. That's why I'm not real quick. I didn't get into arguments with the brother about okay, fine examples from the Sahabas and all that. Man, please.
Because it don't apply to the day.
Like it should, but
It
we
should
need to see
apply.
some other stuff before we get to what you're talking about. Is what, what I'm saying.
Yo,
It's
look,
like,
right? We go through that every day. While you be seeing, I be showing you the comments, right? But when we get these comments on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and people's like, "Oh, y'all, that's not Islam. The stuff y'all talking about." And I'm like, "Yo, you can say whatever you want to say, but this is the shit y'all niggas is doing. Like that's the reality. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we know we shouldn't have, you know, everybody should be cool and fear
Yeah, but
Allah and judge by the taqwa, but people are marrying according to their race. When we did the conversation with the brother Ali, Ali Rahman, and he was talking about, he said, look, he said, I asked him straight up, I said, would you marry a black woman? He said, no. It's
yeah,
not that I don't
all
like
of them
black
say that.
women. He said, it's just that I want to preserve my culture. You know what I mean? When
Yeah,
we did the video, I don't know why, but during this month, people have been resharing the conversation we did with the sisters who were dating Muslim men, who have dated Muslim men. And that's like a popular one again, right? And people keep commenting, oh man, y'all are ratchet. Y'all shouldn't be talking about that. Why y'all talking to women in a barbershop? Why would a woman be in a barbershop? But the reality is, this is where we live. We don't live, you know, in Yemen. You know what I'm saying? Like this, like, so why don't we address this stuff? You know what I mean? And the thing that I didn't like about how the people responding on your post was like, look, man, like one, you didn't ever say the interracial marriage is wrong or right. It's just, yo, real talk, you know, ain't nobody trying to marry their daughter off to no black nigga. That's just the reality. Like the foreigners. Now, if you if you in Africa, like let's say you overseas, you in Egypt, and they know you American and you over there, you trying to get them out of poverty, they all with it. You know what I mean? But you know, to be here and they
this is
already
my
married,
thing, right?
yeah.
This is my thing.
yeah,
We can
but
talk about that. We can
it,
try to fix that. But my thing is, you need to address them first.
Yeah.
Because like if we're gonna be honest, like
yeah,
our people, we're the most open to doing it. Like most of us, we would probably marry our daughter off to like a Pakistani or a Somali
Mhm.
guy or something like that before they would do that with us. Like
Exactly.
we just would. I mean, that's just what I found. So
Yeah.
like, we really want to talk about that. Then you need to start talking to them. And a lot of these brothers, man, they have a lot of students, man, Pakistani students, you know, to take from them. Um, and not saying any of those things to them. No, they just
Mhm.
accept it. Whereas us, we're expected to follow this pristine, innocent Islam and everything, you know, that we don't see color, Islam has no race, but all of y'all just marrying your daughters and only get within your race and y'all keeping y'all wealth within your own community and everything. I'm
Mhm.
saying we need to do those things. That's what we need to do. And I remember some time ago, like, as I remember when I was coming up, like I remember as far as the national leadership in the United States, the way I saw it, it was divided between the community of Imam Warathuddin Muhammad, you know, and the community of Imam Jamil Al-Amin, and also the community that Brother Muhammad Khalil was a part of. I knew about y'all, but y'all weren't really like coming to the conventions and stuff like that. I knew some people, and you know, I know Brother Imam Wadud, he did a masjid at
yeah,
50.
my line, what dude?
Yeah,
Yeah, the master over top of the barbershop.
right. Like I knew them, but they weren't really. I knew they existed, but they weren't really like coming around. You know, us that sort of thing, right? But the Arabs, most of them or foreigners, they had Isna and Ikna for the most part. So you had Imam Jamal Amin's community, you had Imam Martin Muhammad's community, you had Ikna, you had Isna. I remember. Now, what I was thinking would have been good was, you know, you had the leaders of each community. I remember the time you had the leader of, I think Isna at the time was a brother named African brother, Abdullah Idris, I think his name was, something like that. And then I forget the leader of ICNA. I don't know. But what I was suggesting is maybe the leader from one of the black communities can marry his son to, like, say, the daughter of the leader of one of the Arab communities. You know, there's stuff like that. Because then that's how marriage serves as a means of uniting groups.
Yeah, yeah.
But then the problem, I don't think we take marriage serious enough now. That's the problem. Like, we got to kind of get back to basic things like that. Like in the past, and this is pretty much all cultures, when two people got married, bride and groom married, it was seen as those two families are like related now. Now, man, like, you know, we got this old, oh man, how do you even describe it, man? A lot of times the sister is not even being, like, your father's not even approving of the marriage. Dad, he's somewhere in jail, smoked out, or whatever. He's not even involved with the daughter, or he might not be Muslim, and then we do this stupid stuff of just believing, okay, because he's not Muslim, that she's not even gonna seek his advice on a guy. Now, we understand by Sharia that a non-Muslim, well, if a girl takes her shahada, you know, a woman takes her shahada, and she's now a Muslimah, her father's not Muslim, we understand by Sharia he cannot, like, in a valid way hand her over to the groom, right? We understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Not mean, however, that she shouldn't still consult his opinion
Mm-hmm.
on basic qualities of this guy. Because, like, forget the dean part. He can't judge that part. But he can tell this dude sneaky, or this dude trying to get over, or this dude is just has basic good character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know.
What about just common courtesy to the parents out of respect?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you know, your principles in Islam still can pour over. Like, listen, I know he's not Muslim, but I'm gonna still respect him enough to go to him and say, listen, I'm interested in your daughter, such and such. I agree with you, like, that's gone.
Yeah, these are the things that we have to fix. Even beyond just the little Candace thing, you know. But to not get too far off the topic, I do believe that the model has to be this here. That each of us, especially African American Black people, we do have to focus on our community in a couple of areas. One area is, well, dean-wise, of course, we have to, like, produce and follow and go to and rely on, like, our like scholars amongst us. Like, I look at the Pakistani community, for example, and they got Maulana this, Sheikh that, Mufti this, Mufti that, based off of their own friggin' system. Yeah. And they not worried about what that's my Saudi Arabia thing. Like, for example, we got Mufti Diaz, for example, in New Jersey, whatever. He studied the Darul system taught by Pakistani Indians and, you know, Bangladeshis or whatever. Their group of their people, Desis, right? With their system, and amongst them, to him, he's a mufti. According to their standard, that's what it is. They don't give a damn if Saudi believes he's a mufti. They don't care if Egypt thinks he's a mufti. They don't. That's our system. That's us. That's what we doing. Bam. You know, and that's how we have to become.
I don't think that I don't. I'm gonna tell you right now that we got a problem with leadership. Black people.
It's always like that. That's the thing. If something was lost in us coming to America and in the slave trade and all of that, because you know, prior to that, man, you had African scholarly traditions in West Africa.
Right.
Even in this country, like, before segregation was lifted, we had community, and we had you know, you had a system amongst blacks, and you right, something was lost. Like, I don't know.
I'll be trying to figure that out.
Yeah, you know, but
what happened?
That's the one area in preservation of the knowledge, and in the deen we have to do that. Like we gotta just big up our own people, like Imam and Mean, even Abdullah, Ubaidullah, Evans, brother I got to meet over Egypt and stuff like that. Like we got to big up. We do have to do that. Dr. Sherman Jackson, all of them, man. We gotta. Hey, we according to our standard, hey, that's our scholars. Period. Like you have to do that because like forget all this utopian stuff about like we cannot. No. To get respect on the world stage, you got to do that. When people know you don't give a damn about their opinion, that's when they respect you. Exactly. Seriously. When they know you don't give a damn about what they think, and then you're independent, and then you're on your own, that's when they respect you. And it's not only just about their respect, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to be a pleasing community to Allah. Understand me? But you need respect to get some of the worldly stuff you need. Right, so that's in one area. The second area is in our economics, and of course, CJ can speak more to that than me, right? But the simple message I say is we have to like spend our money with one another. Like, if you need a plumber, get a black plumber, black Muslim plumber. You need a pair of sneaks. If your brother got a sneaker store, go get it from him. If you need a guy to fix your computer, go to a black guy to fix your computer. Like I don't care what people think. This is what everybody's doing. Like you're the only one sitting there talking about, oh no, we don't have color in Islam. We're the only people doing that, which would make us either the greatest in the sight of Allah or just the dumbest. That's one or the other because nobody else is doing that. That the economics. Then the third thing is the family life. Because the family is a cornerstone for building the community. It just is. It's the smallest community. It's the smallest. What is the word I'm looking for? I'm all jumbled up. I just finished working 12 hours, right? But it serves as the cornerstone for a strong community. We have strong families. We have to build that. There's some other stuff I want to do too. Like I believe on a national level, our ulama, and this is down the line. These dudes ain't ready for none of that. But down the line, we have to establish Islamic courts. But what I mean by that is the family courts, and you can do this. Like the Jews have like these family courts. You letting Gentiles tell them, who gets the custody of a child? Like nigga, you don't know who, you don't know us and who we think a child should go to. They don't let Gentiles decide that stuff.
They actually have their own court system within the United States. That's acknowledged.
United States respect it. You know why? Because the Jews let you know, nigga, we don't care what you think about how we live and what we're doing. Right? We don't care what you think. And
the thing is, the regular court system here in our states and in our counties, they actually do respect that stuff. I've been in court, and I never forget being in court, and I seen another Muslim in court. He was trying to get out of custody, or whatever, right, for the kid, and he was like, he's telling the judge, he said, no, me and the sister, we're not married, and the judge said, yo, you were married. You were married in your religion, weren't you? And he said, well, that don't count. And he said, no, it counts in this court. And so when I saw that, I was like, yo, people always want to like weasel around the rules.
They look for the loopholes.
Yeah, but the reality is they actually do respect that. Like people will say all that nonsense about being married according to the state or versus Islam. No, they actually do recognize it as long as they can see that there was a precedent stated there. You're not going to get out of not taking care of your kids because you was quote unquote Islamically married. Like,
we need to focus really on marriage hard. And this is the other thing I'm saying. Like
I say that all the time.
Men, we got to take control, take ownership of this whole thing. Don't worry about what nobody think. I don't care about people who call you misogynistic. I don't care. You got to stop caring about that stuff. Who cares? I don't care what these women think. any of that. You know, like because when you start caring about that and too much, you end up being like led by the women. We can't be led by the women. You know, we just simply cannot be led by the women. And that's a whole nother. You know what I mean? Which I would love to get into. But like I need, I guess, specific questions because it's like at any rate, men got to take ownership of that, because what's happening is we have a court system with them that's favoring matriarchy over patriarchy, and we're patriarchal. We're not matriarchal. We're not. And we see the results of it, like in our community. There's way too much feminine energy going on. You know, all of this, you know, soon as somebody step on your sneaks and rub you wrong way, now you got to go shoot them, right? That's feminine energy. Sorry, it's not masculine energy. Yeah. What that is that's just a person who does not know how to apply the appropriate response to something. It's just being completely emotional. That's what I mean by that. I don't mean that's what women shoot. Yeah. What I mean by that is like there's just too much emotion without enough of that being checked by knowledge, sound, rationale, and control over one's emotions. That's taught by men. That's taught from father to the son. Mm-hmm. Like what responses, like I do with my sons, whatever. You know, you have sons, man, and you know, one son might have a problem with anger, you know, and you start snapping out, you know. Hey, that's not how you react. That's not how you would react right there, mm-hmm. Right? That's the time it's okay to have tears. That's no, you don't have no tears right then, right? Check their behavior all the time. The woman with whatever best intentions women have, regardless of her best intentions, she cannot do that. That's not her role. Allah did not create her to do that for the boys, right? Her thing is with the girls, you know, when it comes to that part of their character. And I believe men, we do what we're supposed to do. I believe the women automatically fall in line. We don't need to be on Facebook going back and forth with these sisters about their opinions that they're getting from the West and some judge told them this and that. Don't go back and forth with them, man. You know what I mean? Just it ain't your wife, it ain't your daughter. You don't need to be going back and forth with her. You know what I mean? And as long as she has those opinions, I wouldn't even endorse them to really be whatever. But we can't. And when we do what we're supposed to do, there's nothing they can do about it. Everybody knows that. That's just known. They just fall in line. Right? And they actually will respect what's going on. Right? But we don't need to be engaging them with that stuff, man. Now, and that was the thing too with the Candace thing. There was a couple of sisters that came on there and said they were disgusted by my post, and one of them said that you know, so I'm trying to help her out here, right? So I said, okay.
I think
I had her father, Candace's father, married her to the white guy. We had no problem with it. That's what I said, right? She's like, had her father. What year is this? I'm like, what year is this? You know. So this is the mentality you're dealing with.
They don't know Dean.
What were you about to say, Cliff?
No, I was about to say that I think the problem with that whole post for some people was the ignorance of them not knowing who this lady is. They probably just seen the picture and was like in the commentary and automatically made a judgment. I think they don't know.
The ignorance, every one of these arguments, doesn't matter if it's on these Facebook groups, these posts, the comments on our YouTube page. These people don't know Islam. That's the ultimate, like the real ignorance. They ignorant about their own religion.
Yeah.
You know, I see it every day.
That's why I agree with Haneef.
Yeah.
That's why I agree with Imam Haneef and not just ignore it, because, you know, even for example, I said a situation where they was like, why y'all sitting in there? They got wine. And you like, first of all, in their religion, it's permitted for them to have wine.
Yeah.
We don't got nothing to do with that. Yeah. And but you can't go back and forth with that, like you said, because it's ignorant. but they just like, why y'all even in the environment? You like, we live in an environment like that. What are you talking about?
Then that's my thing. How are you ever gonna? How do you actually give dawah to people if you don't be around them? If you don't talk to
Yeah.
them?
You're right. Listen, when you're workers, Allah Ta'ala says, in the Quran about like those people, he said, men, yeah, men yartada and dinikum, like if any of you turn from your religion, soon will Allah produce a people whom he will love and they will love him. He describes those people. They'll be mighty against the disbelievers, but they'll be humble with the believers. They'll be striving in the way of Allah and not afraid of the laghawi, like
Yeah.
those criticizers, right? Who find fault and all of that. Like you can't when you doing work and you trying to do something, for feasibility and all of that. Like of course, make sure what you're doing is in line with the Sharia. But a lot of people, man, just want to sit on the couch, and be an armchair judge and all that. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Pretty.
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? People that aren't doing anything, like,
Like, it's okay to criticize. That's fine. But to insult people, that's wrong.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
Yeah.
the thing is, and
Wrong
this is what
intentions.
we talked about on another video before. Like everybody has something to say about us talking to them sisters and them drinking, right? And the girl, there was the same girl from the video that was talking
Mm-hmm.
about dating Muslim men, right? But that was last year during Ramadan, she took Shahada based on talking to us and being around us. So it's
Yeah.
like, come
Yeah.
on, like, what part of this, And we've been trying to get her to come back to actually talk about what led her to take Shahada, but like
Yeah.
I told somebody, huh? Would you say?
Now I'm saying it's their job to
It
give you
was
benefit of doubt
actually
from the rip.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
Yeah,
that
it was actually CJ, it was actually two. It was two. It was her and that other girl that came with
Mm,
it with the one that owned the daycare. The
yeah,
other two, they accepted Islam.
they accepted Islam too. Yeah, and
Yeah, so you like, come on, man.
you don't never know how this stuff gonna go. And I told, remember when we did the one with the sisters for the domestic violence joint, and we was talking about how
Yeah,
men be dating with, like, bro, I keep it real shit. I didn't dated girls in the past. I have no business doing what I was doing with them, and they end up taking Shahada. So it's like this stuff it don't be by accident. You know what I'm saying? So and it's not just me. I'm sure it's been like that for other brothers. So it's like, yeah, you can sit back and you can criticize the person because they're not outwardly meeting what your expectations are, or what the Sharia says or whatever.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
correct. But if the end
of
goal
course,
is
of
all right,
course, we're not recommending dating.
of course I'm not.
Of
I
course, we're
would
not
never
recommending.
recommend it. It's just, but look how it does. You have an effect on
I
people.
know what you mean. Just the interaction
Yeah,
alone, and
yeah,
allowing them to see Muslims and how we are here about Islam can lead to
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I get it.
Even with this, right? Like I tell people all the time, right? Like this whole thing wasn't meant to be like the Muslim show. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't do this just to go with a Muslim audience. But the point was, like, we just talking. Like I be in a
Right.
barbershop, we talking. But I'm Muslim. So a lot of times if the clients are Muslim, if my friends are Muslim, to come in and be talking, then we're gonna talk about Muslim stuff. Or we're gonna talk about black stuff, or we're gonna talk about sports, or we're gonna talk, like,
Yeah.
ultimately
I think,
it's
yeah,
a lot of
people
people that
people got the
watch
wrong
this is not
perception.
Muslim, and then
Yeah.
they're fascinated by what we actually talking about, because you know how many people, they come in a barbershop or they ask me stuff, and they'll ask me before they ask somebody else because I'm more relatable
Mm.
with what the issues are, versus them calling Mufti so and so and he's like, no, this is impermissible, but he was just drinking a 40 with you like last week. You know what I'm saying? So me, I'm gonna give you real shit. Like, nah, that's correct. That's not. Or they'll ask you, oh, how come some Muslims do this and other ones don't do that? And I'm like, look, man, we
Yeah.
don't really got no leadership.
That's
We,
common.
and
Yeah.
we got ignorant people. You know. But that's always my thing. Like, yo, deal with this stuff the way that it is, not the way we want it to be another way. But let's not act like this stuff don't really happen. You know what I mean? Like all these things are real issues, and real talk. We ain't gonna get out of none of our stuff if we keep trying to be like other people.
Yeah, we try to push it under the rug or hide it like it don't exist.
You know, we ain't getting past none of that, man. And that interracial marriage thing, that's like, yo, bro, I never forget. I remember I told you that story I ain't gonna say his name, but the Imam, and he wanted to marry that sister, and it was one of his students, and he wanted to marry her bad, bro. Like he was teaching her for all the time. Oh, shake, shake. It's calling him Imam and shake and kissing his hand. As soon as it's time for him to propose to her, she's like, listen, my father would never let me marry you. Like I look at you like a father figure. And then this dude heart was crushed. I mean, literally crushed. But that's the reality, man.
That's how they
Care
get
about
down,
that
man.
stuff.
That's how they get down.
Yep.
They're showing it about, and this is the thing too, man. Like, we gotta learn to see, like within marriage, we gotta see everything as an asset. We gotta see.
Yeah, but I'm telling y'all from my personal experience, it's not just black people. They do that to white people too.
Who?
The other groups like Pakistanis, they be like, nah, man.
Not as much. Man, look, if you Pakistani, you get your daughter to marry a white man, it's a golden ticket, man. It's a golden goose right there.
Nah, not all of them like that. They be like that. They be
Not
like,
all
nah.
of them, but yeah.
Yeah.
What was you
I
saying,
seen
Haneef?
that before.
All
And
right.
they told him, the guy, I was there one time, he told the guy, he said, listen, your culture and my culture is different. And I don't think that would be a good idea to mix my culture with yours. Because you used to a certain way of living and we used to a certain way of living. This is the exact words he said to the guy.
A lot of times that be some bogus stuff, that be some BS, but that's what they think. That's the way they think, because oftentimes like their children are just different from them, especially if their children went to our educational system and their kids went to college here and all of that. They'd be completely different. A lot of times they want to get out of their culture, but
Yeah.
they want their kids to keep their culture,
Yeah.
So that's why a
they
lot of
got
times
used to,
this is happens a lot of times with them. They have their daughter that graduated college and all this other stuff. The little Pakistani girl graduated college, all of that. She prime. He'll marry her to a damn taxi driver that's a Pakistani, and then the marriage just falls apart. I know that's a big problem with the Somalis. Someone told me because that taxi driver won't keep that culture though. He's not Americanized. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I'm thinking they have a lot of problems.
Yeah, but some of the even Africans, they don't like marrying other people from different tribes.
Yeah.
They'll tell you like, no, don't marry him from that tribe and stuff like that. So it ain't.
I'm gonna tell you. I want to share this little story, right? This is something from the past. But it's about the subject, because what we're talking about is asabiya, which is that sometimes translated as racism, but it ain't really racism. It's like that group think amongst a particular group of people, right? This is about Julius Caesar, right? The great Roman general, right? Him and this dude Pompey, right? Where they were rivals.
Mark Anthony?
No. Pompey. This was before Mark Anthony came on the scene. Julius Caesar and Pompey were like rivals to see who was going to be like the head of the army. Because this was when they still had the Senate before Julius Caesar made it try to. But anyway, this is rival. Pompey did something, so Julius Caesar was like, I'm gonna kill this nigga, right? So Pompey, he escapes to Egypt, right? This is at the time where Queen Cleopatra and her brother, were there during the Ptolemaic dynasty. Her and her brother were there vying over power, right? So anyway, Pompey flees to Egypt. So Julius Caesar hears that he flees to Egypt. So like he takes his big army, they go to Egypt. Okay. Now while he's there, at this time, Egypt is a vassal to Rome. And Egypt owes them like some money, like, we don't know how much, right? So he figured, all right, while I'm here looking for Pompey, I might as well go take a little visit to the emperor, to their little emperor, and collect this money, right? So Julius Caesar goes and he visits, he assumes that the one that's in charge is Cleopatra's little brother. He ain't even paying her no mind. Like, her brother is probably the one in charge. So he approaches them, right? Julius Caesar show up with his army, right? Now, he approaches the young boy, because the dude's a young boy, just about 11, 12 years old, something like that. So he asked him, all right, what's up with what's up with that money you owe us, right? So young boy's like this, the emperor. He's like, he thinking, he got some of the money. He a little short on the money, but he'll pay him. He good for it. But he thinking, man, I'm gonna do this one thing that's gonna impress Julius Caesar so much, right? It's a priceless gift that this will get me good and in good with him, and he can be a good ally for me, especially against his sister Cleopatra and all that, right? So anyway, so as Julius Caesar approaches him, the emperor, he brings out this chest. He was Ptolemy, I think his name was Ptolemy the Fourth, something like that. So he brings out this chest, right? Julius Caesar, he expecting that to be that money. So he opens the chest up, and what he got in the chest is Pompey's head, right? Yeah. So basically what he did was he went court Pompey for Julius Caesar. So this to help Julius Caesar to be the emperor of Rome. He really had to get rid of Pompey. Pompey was literally in his way. You got to understand, right? So the emperor boy, he opens up the chest. This is the head of Pompey, like, man. So now I got Julius Caesar. What do you think this nigga Julius Caesar did? Julius Caesar, right? He looks at the head. He looks at the young boy. He basically said what means, nigga, who told you you got the right to put your hands on a Roman? Like, period. Exactly. Who told you you got the right to put your hands on a Roman? That was his response to him. So he was like scared. He's like, all right, who did it? You tell me who touched him, who did all this, right? So Julius Caesar rounded up the soldiers that he sent that touched Pompey. If you laid a hand on him the whole time, I want every last one of them men. He lined all them dudes up, chopped all their heads, just executed every last one of them. Basically told him, you lucky this ain't happening to you. Now I'm doubling the amount of money you owe, and all this kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that story was like, had me like, wow.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow.
Remember that.
That was crazy. I'm not saying that the Romans were right, but I can understand why they were able to rule for 500 years because they had a certain type of like asabiya about themselves.
Yeah.
That it's like, listen, you got an issue with him, you know what I mean? You ain't got the right to touch him. You just tell me about it, I'll deal with it.
I'll deal with it. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
And that's how it used to be with our people. And I don't know what happened with it, man. You know.
And Ibn Khaldun talked about this a lot too in his Muqaddimah, like that. That was the common thing that he found in pretty much every empire that it like existed, was whoever was strongest with the Asabiya ended up being the strongest. Now in Islam, of course, Asabiya is based on Iman. You know, when Islam is proper, when it's right. And I'm gonna tell you, the only time I ever saw it done properly is amongst the Turuk, the Sufi Tariqas. That's the only time I ever saw it and I believed it. Like when I was in Medina, you know, with my sheikh and some of his murids from Austria and murids from, you know, white guys from New York and other guys from murids from like all over. And like you really felt like real brotherhood. Yeah. I ain't never felt it in Philadelphia, nothing like that. Except for like a moment, all right, guy invite me to give a khutbah at a Pakistani masjid or something. And you know what I mean? It's almost like I ain't saying he faking, but they trying, but it ain't, you know, it ain't real. You know, like, you know, you could just tell. You have we all have that radar where we can kind of like, that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, of course, our asabiya is that's true. But prior to that, really, the Arabs had the asabiya amongst themselves. They did. And to me, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's natural. Like, almost like for example, like, this is what I'm saying. And this was the issue with, the Sheikh Abdullah. He was kind of coming at me a little bit. But, like, I wanted to give him an example of this here, right? The Islamic ideal is this. Allah says in the Quran, right? To stand out as as witnesses, for truth, whether it's against yourselves, whatever, which includes your family too. Like really, ideally, we should be standing out for the truth against our family. We know the Prophet ﷺ said that if you cut off the hand of the thief, he said, well, Allah, if his daughter Fatima, Zahra, which is the most beloved thing to him on the planet, was to steal, that he would cut off our hand, right? Yeah. So That's the Islamic ideal. However, we know in the Sharia that a son is not allowed to testify for his father, right? Like you, father can't testify on behalf because he's not going to be, he can't be unbiased. He's going to be, he's not.
Right.
Right? So like the dean is able to encompass, okay, the ideal, but I mean, you know, the reality is like, so there's a natural thing there where family supports family. And I'm going to give this as another example. You look at the uncles of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, just from Syria. The uncles of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? We can debate who's the most hated out of all of the mushrikeen in Mecca. Is it Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl? There's them two, they're up there. I would say Abu Lahab, the uncle of the Prophet is actually more hated than Abu Jahl. But you look at his uncles, most of his uncles, man, you think about the nature of why they protected the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It had something to do with, it had more to do with, that's like my nephew, you know what I mean? Then almost like that they really believed in the message. Like later they kind of started to, especially Hamza and even Abbas and all, but really it was like bride with my nephew. Like I know he don't lie, but that's just what they were. That's just how they were. Hamza just was rode until he found out what Islam was. Then he believed. Abu Talib, there's still a difference of opinion whether or not he actually accepted Islam. Some believe he did, some, but he was saying that was going to protect his nephew, period. And it was known among them that that's what you're supposed to do. Like we wouldn't respect you if you don't.
The opinion.
Abu Lahab. And this is something, man, my teacher, Sayyid Amr, my teacher in Egypt taught me, Noah was there as well, right? Taught us this here. We dealt with Abu Lahab, the surah, right? And he was talking about this whole situation here. And he goes into why Allah hated Abu Lahab so much. Not only was it that he berated the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, not only was it that his wife put out the thorns, right? But also is the nature of like, okay, not only are you rejecting like just the message, you're also rejecting like your blood, you're rejecting like you're going against your brothers, you're going against like your nephew. It was like he was just, even the mushrikeen, like even Abu Jahl didn't really respect him. They like, you know what I mean? You don't go against your nephew and stuff like that. That was weird, him doing that. That's why Allah said, bet Dad, I'll be laughing with that, right? Which means, and this is what my teacher said. He said it means fuck Abu Lahab. That's what he said. That's what he said. He said that's what it means. He said in the books they've never translated that way. But to an Arab, if you say to an Arab, that means fuck you. That's what it means. Wow. Really, literally. Wallahi. We were just sitting in the class like, whoa, are you serious? That is what Allah said. Wallahi, ask any Arab. Wow. What is the meaning of bet Yad Abi Lahab and Watab? What does that mean? And I had to recheck it, like, because we got movies over there, like when I was in Egypt, like movies where they say, like they'll say the English word, but they have the Arabic there. And I was noticing, like, all right, movies where I know they say the F word, like I was looking at it, be like Tibet. I'm like, whoa, like really, that is what the word means. I just couldn't believe that, man.
That's funny, man.
Like, I never even had the heart to put that on my Facebook, even though that's what my teacher straight up told me. That's what it means. When he told me, no, you can ask no. He said, "Fuck you, Yani." That's what he said. That's what it means. He said, "That's the meaning." Yani means, that's what it means. Right? Crazy, man.
Wow. Mashallah.
Mashallah, but yeah, but the point is, with Abu Lahab, he violated on so many levels, Like, it's one thing to vibe just to not believe in a revelation. Like, honestly, that's the worst. But a lot of them did that, you know.
Yeah, but in their culture, in the culture that they practice,
he going against his clan.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. In their culture, going against your kin was like extremely no.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why my teacher, he said that's why Abu Talib stayed a disbeliever, because he knew that if he became Muslim, that they would have just executed the Prophet or something, because he wouldn't have had no protection as a tribeman. That's why when he passed away, he fled to Taif, because Taif, he didn't have no protection of a tribe no more, a tribal leader.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
never heard that particular take on it. That's
yeah.
How?
And that's why when he came back into Medina from Taif, he had to ask Mutam ibn Adi if he would protect him as long as he's in Medina, which was another noble aristocrat of the Quraysh. Because that was like your visa. Your tribe was like your visa. Like, I'm under protection under so and so.
Right. Mashallah.
Yeah.
Mashallah. Now, one thing I will add with this is the one thing we have to be careful of course, is we ain't saying, you know, we think, you know, our race is better than anybody's race or anything like that. No, we know we just got to focus on us and our issues that we got to fix. That's all. It's not to be, you know, offensive to anybody. And one of the ways of fixing our race is not just in marrying outside of it, especially when they not marrying back. you know what I mean? Like that's one thing that don't make sense. I would start marrying my daughters off to Somali men, Arab men, and all that. When they start marrying their daughters, not the sons. Of course, sons. Anybody marry their sons to somebody, the sons will get 3 more. Otherwise, you know, they don't care. You know what I mean? Of course, they'll marry our daughters because a Somali boy, you can just get a Somali wife and have your wife and treat your wife like the, you know, the outsider because she don't know how to make Somali food or whatever and all that crap. No, when they start marrying their daughters, that's when it, you know, means something. And I get why they do that. They see their children as assets. That's what that is. It's an asset.
Yeah.
So you turn them into stuff like that.
A lot of them, you know, they look at black people as dirt, man. And that's the reality. Because even the 2 young boys that came, CJ, remember? And he said, my father, you know, they tell them, like, yo, stay away from black people.
See, I ain't got no problem with that either, though, because I can look at you as dirt. You know what I mean? Like that don't bother me. That don't bother me at all. Like, are you serious? You coming from where? Oh, please. You know what I mean? Like, I can do that too. That's nothing.
But that's the perception they had. Like, yo, stay away from them people.
They don't know what our perception of them is. It ain't a high one.
I think for them, my opinion, for them to look at African Americans in America and not know that story and that plight is ignorance.
Yeah.
It is. It really shows your ignorance, because you don't know what black people went through in this country.
Right.
And yet, because of what you see now, the after effect of it, you think that that's okay to say to, like, stay away from these people. Like, stay away from me? You should stay away from them jokers. I'm not the problem. But the perception that's given to African American people, whether it's through media, TV, film, you know what I mean, is always, you know, the negative.
See, the thing with white people, they just respect them. You know, whether they like them or not or whatever, respect them because they see them as just being powerful, you know, having their stuff together, you know. We know white people are just really a mess for real, like, especially spiritually and all that. Like, we know them better than anybody. That's the one arrogant thing with a lot of foreigners, is they act like we don't know. They need to really go learn about them through us, really. But, you know, they're too arrogant, most of them, you know.
They don't care. They're like, I don't want to hear about your story.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. You know? I mean, we can go back to extorting them like you used to, like the nation used to do in the 70s. What? You know what I mean? Start collecting taxes because you're in our neighborhood. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I told one of them that before. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't understand what it can be. You
Yeah.
know, really. But I ain't want to get into all that stuff. But anyway, but that's the type of attitude we got to develop. Like, we know, but when we have our mission, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, I think
We ain't worried about them, man. Once we get what we get, establish what we're trying to go and establish, all that stuff is going to happen. All the respect and everything, that's just going to come naturally, man.
Yeah.
We got to worry about ourselves, man.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, one thing I want to get with, man, is because I'm big on this thing here too, brother Khalil. Is that community, the Fukara, right? How they got that land and they build houses on the land, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking into that kind of stuff. That's the type of thing we need to get into, right? Because there's in our Lancaster County, there's the Amish people. They build houses, right? For people like you get some land, right? They'll build a house for you for like 40,000, like a nice joint. Like I was out there because they got these things called these auto.
You talking about the modular home?
Mobile communities.
Yeah. Mobile joints.
Yeah, mobile communities. But it ain't like no trailer park houses. No, they real houses. But
yeah, they like modular homes that they piece together, right?
Yeah, like the 1-story trailer joint, not what they call. But it's way better than any apartment.
It's semi-wide.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're talking about. They look like modulars, man. You gotta buy the land and then you pay like a lot fee to have your house on it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, we would, Moez and myself always talk about us buying land and getting out of these city areas, but it never gets nowhere with people. They just don't see.
That's what I'm saying. You got to work with people that's trying to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Even if you get your credit good, because, like, I'm sure if you get loan from a bank, you can do whatever you want with that, right, CJ? Like,
yeah.
They give you 50,000 for, which ain't nothing really. They give you that. You can get your own house made somewhere and all that, right?
Yeah, you can. The thing is, what we got to do, we got to start in small groups, like in very small groups, where even if it's 5, 10 people who's all got the same mission, and then like it was funny. I told you before, I'm in this investment group. I'm in a black investment group, right? And the founder of the group, bro, this dude, I mean, he not Muslim, but this dude is so insightful, man. He was saying on the call this morning, he was even saying like, yo, man, he said the trick that they play us into is where they make us think that it's smarter for us to borrow their money. He said, yo, I can show you how to make 50,000, 60,000 instead of buying it, instead of borrowing it and then paying them back over 30 years. He said, yo, just make the 50 grand, go buy the house, and we can go all live around amongst each other and then teach each other how to make the money. Like, and bro, I'm doing all this through Zoom videos and on the internet, but I've never been around so many other black people that's like me and older than me who are getting money. They get into the bag no matter what the cost is in the stock market, in real estate. They making the money, but you would never know that they exist because as soon as we get money, we move away from each other. The thing is, we got to be around each other in order for that group economics to work.
See, that's the stuff I'm interested in, man. I'm not like I ain't even knocking people. I ain't no knocking nobody, but I wanna start doing that kind of stuff because like those are the things that are gonna that is really going to facilitate the other stuff. Like get some land. First thing, build a masjid like right in the middle of that joint.
That's
and then houses on that joint. You know what I'm saying? So you hear the adhan, you know what I mean? Getting up in the morning, walking to build a school over there.
Well, that's how it actually is on there. What you said is the masjid is right there, in the center of the community. CJ, no, he been there.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
They have these Islamic retreats every year.
Right.
And you go there and that's where most of my learning come from. From learning Arabic, how to read Arabic, learning, memorizing 40 Quran, Asma Husna, you know what I mean? The rulings of marriage, like the rights of marriage and all that stuff. So they have that every year. So every year, people from all over the country, from Texas, Maine, Canada, all of us come together, and it's like a big network. So you'll talk to them and you be like, well, what you doing in Canada? He's like, well, I got this candle shop making candles. And you like, all right, well, send me some of the candles here. And that's how it is inside the Jamaat. They just stay within themselves and network and stuff like that.
That's what you got to do. And not even just in Islam, but like black people in general. You know what I mean? Just in general, man. And until you get, I mean, I saw that example with that Jamaat, and then I've seen it with a few others. But if you keep relying on the white man system or American system, like you ain't never going. We as a whole, we ain't gonna have none. You'll have a whole bunch of individual success, but no communal success. You know what I mean?
Right.
And stuff like this shooting, you know, is gonna keep happening. All these arguments are gonna keep happening. All like, everybody got a voice now, and then they use them just to share their opinions, but not do any action.
Yeah, you know? That's all it is, man. I'm getting tired of sharing my damn opinions, honestly.
Yeah.
Something done. You know what I mean? Like just talking and all that, like Corona and I'm serious, man. Like, was one thing I observed a lot. These Amish people, you know, was doing the work that I do, you know, delivering Amazon. I go out there and man, there ain't no mask out there, no gloves, none of that shit, man. Them people is just doing what they do. They gathering at church, all of that. They act like they never even heard of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how we need to be. Right now, you got Muslims, man, like acting just like the damn kuffar, like they're scared of just coronavirus like this, man. Yeah. That stuff disappoints me to the core. Like, you can just tell, like, 80% of my posts is about that. I just start clowning people and all of that. Like, when I don't understand something, and I'm like, why are you acting like this? Closing the masjid, you know. People, and what's bothering me is not enough of us are really researching it, man, to find out what's really up with it. You know what I mean? People act like this joint is just floating around. Like, you just catch it. Like it's on the wall. It's on the table. That's what people acting like, man. Like, this stuff is just retarded, man. Like, I've never seen nothing like it. There's a lot of people I respect acting like that, man.
I agree. And that, even again, when I was in my class this morning, in the brother Mr. Thompson, he said, look, the coronavirus is real. He said, but the response to it is all political. He said it's all political, and it's got everything to do with how they want to change the country, who's going to be in power, them trying to get Trump out of office. All of this got to do, it has nothing to do with our safety, nothing to do with what's actually going. They're going to trick everybody into thinking that it's airborne, and it isn't. You know, they trick everybody into thinking that more people are dying from it than they are, and it's a big political response. And
well, they already market people that just die from other things, like whatever it is, as being a corona. So you could just die from a heart attack or some other ailment, and they'll just market as
people getting shot. They're getting coronavirus on their death certificates. Like it's crazy, man. But you know, it's only here. Like I to be honest with you, I'm surprised that we've been on a shutdown as long as we've been, and people ain't went the fuck off yet. Like, I'm really surprised. But I guess if you make more unemployment than you do in your job, then people are happy. But
that's what they doing. They just keeping them, like, you know, sedated.
Yep.
Give them a couple of hours here and there. I mean, they shut down the sports and all that. I can't believe they ever get away with it.
Yeah, they about to bring that back though. They saying.
Yeah.
They talking about no crowd.
Yeah, that's gonna be corny as hell to watch.
No, they talking about you could go there, but you gotta have like that 6 foot gap. So it's gonna be like every other seat or every.
They ain't gonna make no money. I don't know how they gonna make no money. The same thing with concerts. I don't know how. Like, I keep getting these emails from Live Nation talking about these They have an Instagram Live. They're gonna try to start charging people to watch Instagram. Like, I'm not buying no ticket to watch Fat Joe on Instagram Live, like, or Beyonce, anybody. Like, what do you? They gotta open this shit back up and get it back to normal. Like, I think I was looking at I think it was Sweden. Sweden never closed anything. They was like, look, we're gonna deal with this shit. And they just out there normal as ever.
Sweden and Africa.
Yeah.
They
Yo, I heard Vietnam. In Vietnam, they had 10 deaths. 10 in the whole country. It's crazy, man. And they just as populated as New York. 10 deaths. So
That's because they're not part of that dumb game. They're not playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whoever part of the nonsense, they charge the extra money they call and say it's Corona, and you don't see what's going on. Like, come on, man.
mm-hmm.
$4 grand. See somebody got. If I'm a doctor, yeah, everybody got it. Yeah, Corona, $4 grand each one.
Yeah.
Come on,
yeah. If you look at the history of America, this ain't the first time they did something like that. When the AIDS virus was getting popular, they went to, Africa, and people that suffered from just malnutrition, they was documenting them as having HIV. And you're like, that wasn't the case, but this is what's happening now. So it's the same. They got the same pattern, man. It's just people just fall for that stuff every time.
SubhanAllah.
No, man, we about ready to break fast in a few. So.
All right, Imam, Haneef.
Yep. Well, hopefully made everything clear.
Inshallah, they gonna find something to complain about.
They're gonna be like, you still a racist? You still racist?
Hey, well, we all racist then. Everybody. I'm racist.
Racist. My grandson is white.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Alhamdulillah.
All right, brother. When this is over, we gotta get you come down here, man.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
All right.
All right, man.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.